NATO is facing one of the most difficult stages in the history of the organization. There are massive problems, massive challenges. There's a lack of coordinated approach to dealing with international security problems. There's also a lack of strategic depth. And what Macron said, that NATO is a brain dead, is partially true. Of course, it wasn't the most brilliant expression to use, but there's an element of truth in it. The problem is that when NATO created in 1949, there was a real enemy, and there was one single enemy called Soviet Union. After 1990s, early 1990s, Soviet Union collapsed, and NATO defined Russia as a possible threat, and then, of course, China economically growing and becoming militarily very ambitious. So there was a lack of strategic concept, integrity within the NATO policy, and also there's a lack of complementary European policy, because European countries are slightly different. There are specific European concerns, and there must be specific European defense security system. And the second important issue is that there's a financial problem, really, because as you know, America is the greatest contributor to the NATO projects. The 3.6% of the US GDP goes to military budget, and about 16% of the central NATO budget financed by the United States. So the US is a very important player. But it looks like under Trump's administration, the US doesn't want to play this role anymore, and they want other countries to increase their military expenditure. There are two ways European countries could deal with this problem. Number one, they have to encourage the US to maintain its paramount role as a great military power, because if you want to be a superpower, and the definition of superpower is very clear, you need to be able to fight with 3-4 powers at the same time. You've got to have this military expenditure, and America gets credit for that. And also, of course, 2% target for all NATO members must be maintained. We know that UK is doing that, but we know that some other countries are not doing it. So I think there must be two sets of arguments. One, to encourage America to maintain its position, and number two, to encourage other countries to maintain 2% budget contribution requirement.